Kyle here from allmediareviews.blogspot.com. I wanted to make a short of video, if possible, talking about appealing to maybe a YouTube channel that I'm a big fan of, Sea of Tranquility. Pete Pardo, who runs that channel, and all the people he uses or has on as guests, and he obviously runs the website Sea of Tranquility, and was one of the people involved in the actual printed magazine, which I was hoping I could find a show. I couldn't find them. It's going to take some more work. I found some of my old progressions. But it's great that he's had such success with that channel. When I started my YouTube channel, he started his like 6 months later. He spent a lot more time at it, but the first couple of years he was just a similar kind of fashion where he just do the videos once in a while. And I knew him back in 2014, and I read his website and saw him on some of the message boards before that, and going back to the Sea Tranquility magazine. So, but I don't know. He just hit 60,000 a little while ago, and he was talking about how people are asking him if they can be on one of his shows, because he has these weekly shows, these music shows, Prague Show in the Prague Seat, the Hudson Valley Squares, some of these other ones he's done. And I know like a lot of the stuff that's on his channel is largely based on his tastes relative, and I obviously enjoy a lot of the music that he talks about on his channel, but I have commented a few times to him, at least once or twice. I know when he did Q&As a few years ago, I asked him about what his thoughts on the kind of modern progressive rock stuff that I'm so into, and he kind of passed it over a little bit, that he's not really that into that much of it that I'm aware of, though he's talked about bands like Anathema. He's obviously a fan of like Stephen Wilson and Porcupine Tree. But, the Mars Volta, and then, of course, some of his guests have talked about the Mars Volta. I think it was Chuck may have mentioned them recently. So, I don't know. I don't know if he's ever really wanted to do something, but I would say that if he was going to do some kind of feature on this kind of modern style of progressive rock, I would be as good of a person to be talking about it. But obviously it kind of goes back to whether he actually has his taste in a lot of this stuff, and he's the host usually on these group videos that he does in the Prague Seat, namely. But he obviously also has a background being a fan of enjoying a lot of the music on all the different types of lists in the Prague Seat or the metal shows or whatever. So, but what I would just do is kind of show, and I didn't show any vinyl, but like if I was doing 5 albums in a show with him for the style, and I literally could pick dozens, but I just grabbed a bunch of CDs. He's very much a fan of the CDs. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. This is the copy, the first one I got, Apes and Androids, Blood Moon. Coheed and Cambria's Good Apollo 1, which is a much longer title. Burning Star 4, From Fear Through the Eye of Madness. That would be another one that I would certainly think about, if not included. Dredge's El Cielo, which I got a couple copies here. I have it on vinyl too. That would be another one that certainly I would be endorsing, suggesting, talking about, appreciating. The Deer Hunters, Act 2, The Meaning of, and All Things Regarding Misleading. A couple copies here. My vinyl records aren't available at the time. I chose one other one, which is a Casey Crescenzo from the Deer Hunter, the previous band he'd been in. In fact, he formed the Deer Hunter while he's still part of this band, The Receiving End of Sirens, which you could argue that this music is still progressive, but it's also heavily rooted in post-hardcore sounds and rock music, post-hardcore punk rock. But there's a lot of progressive elements to this album that it's so addictive and good and melodic that I think it would be among my favorite. I consider this a perfect record. This is Between the Heart and the Synapse from 2005. So, and the other thing I would sort of also add on or piggyback on in terms of like appealing to Pete and Sea of Tranquility is, and it's been mentioned here and there on his channel, but I've never seen him talk about, Kevin Gilbert. This is the Thud Deluxe version. I don't know. I'm sure he knows Kevin Gilbert. I would guess he's heard a lot of his music. He may own some of it. It just hadn't gone around to talking about him or showing him, and maybe he's talked about him in shows I didn't watch. I don't know. He hasn't talked about Jeff Buckley either. I don't know if he's that familiar or much of a fan of Jeff's instead, but he's been involved with the prog rock scene long enough and writing for Progression or writing for Tranquility and knowing Progression. And on his website, of course, I gotta believe he knows Kevin, but I don't know. Again, it comes back to some of his viewers, subscribers, besides myself, have interest in a lot of this, in Kevin Gilbert's music and in, the progressive college rock or whatever, progressive alternative prog rock, stuff that's drawing from Radiohead and Tool. Lamar's Volta is probably the biggest name among all, but there's literally dozens, not hundreds. I'm passionate about at least 3 or 4 dozen bands and artists and then I'm also like familiar and fan of 3 or 4 times that many in terms of albums and artists. That it's a genre that doesn't really have a home, even though it should, or a subgenre or combined hybrid genre that it doesn't seem to have the home. Do I expect him to be interested in this and be willing to take me on his show? No, probably not. Although I would certainly be happy to be a guest for something else, because I'm also, my background, of course, with progressive rock is progressive metal, being a Dream Theater fan, and, the old school prog rock and jazz fusion, jazz rock, and some other stuff, but and progressive pop or classic rock, just a lot of the stuff that he covers on his channel, I'm a fan of. There's literally probably dozens of other people that would want to go on for those things. I don't think there are dozens of other people that would have a passion for Kevin or for some of this stuff. But I would counter that to say there are dozens, if not hundreds or thousands, of people that watch his channel that are fans of this stuff. So if he really wanted to sort of cover and include another sort of demographic or style that he's not at this point, myself or, frankly, even if he didn't pick me, if he could just get other people to talk about this stuff on his channel, I would totally be up for it. I would be like promoting it left and right more than I've already done. And I comment and mention his channel a lot. I think I talked about it in my blog a few times. So just to say, Pete, I'm not sure how to get in touch with you because I'll make comments and probably read all the comments. But, it's hard. It's hard. And I know a lot of people they get so many comments. When you get 60,000, 20,000, 40,000 subscribers and all these comments, there's so many of them. But I'm not exactly the run-of-the-mill norm of your subscribers, I would say, because I've been around longer than most of those people. And I would honestly say I have more knowledge of this specific style of progressive rock. And I have a pretty decent amount of knowledge of anything related to Dream Theater or progressive metal and progressive rock in general that, I'm 44 years old. I'll be 45 next month. I've been listening to a lot of this stuff probably longer than a lot of the people that watch your channel. So, but if not, thought it's worth a plea, worth talking to you. Maybe at some point down the road, if it doesn't happen now, maybe in a year or two or something. I'd love to do that. I'd love to go on your channel, even just once. But otherwise, I'm still a fan, still supporting, still watching, still giving it thumbs up and making comments. And hope to hear from you. But if not, everyone on my channel will hear. I might start doing reaction videos to some of in the prog seats and just making my own lists. Why not? So thanks again. We'll see you later. Bye.